Welcome to the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs. You'll hear insights and ideas from the world's top entrepreneurs and thought leaders, designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Now here's your host, Steve Sipress.
Troy Olds is a successful serial entrepreneur who helps others to live their passion and optimize everything. He helps identify and maximize the superpowers that every entrepreneur has by using the latest mind and body science and nutrition to create a unique design for maximum living. Watch Troy's next live broadcast at rhinodaily.com/Troy. That's rhinodaily.com/TROY.
Let's get started with part one.
Troy Olds, welcome to the Rhino Daily Podcast.
Steve, thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're going to have some fun, and right off the bat, I know this is going to be fun and different because when you gave me a little preview of how this interview was going to go, you mentioned a few people that you call the new breed of entrepreneur that really excite you and fire you up, and I'm like, I don't even recognize any of these names. So I love it. I'm going to learn a lot here right now. Like one of the names you mentioned, Joe Rogan. Now, I think Joe Rogan, when I think of like the comedian or like he was like a TV show host or something. Is that the Joe Rogan?
That is the Joe Rogan I'm talking about.
So now he's an entrepreneur. So what does he do to excite you and fire you up as an entrepreneur?
Well, Steve, you know, as a 44-year-old guy, first and foremost, I didn't have a lot of hope for the next generation. And I know Joe's not younger than me per se, but he does have a stage where he does announcing for MMA, the fight. He's been on Fear Factor, so he's got celebrity.
Fear Factor, that's the show I knew him from, where people are like eating bugs or something.
Exactly.
All right, but now you're mentioning MMA. That's the stuff like the cage match, or the way they kick and punch. And I've never watched those. It always amazes me that they like some guy barefoot like kick somebody in the face with his bare foot. I'm like, really? But okay, now I got it. So he is an announcer for that. Which does that mean he also is partly like running one of the organizations or something?
Well, you know, I don't know Joe personally, and so when I see what he's doing, I think he's really doing mostly is just supporting a sport that's exploding for that particular demographic. I don't watch a lot of MMA, but here's, you know, and I had an opinion. I put up a label of Joe Rogan until I heard his podcast, and I heard this guy who is just a no BS, straightforward guy who's asking deep questions. He doesn't just take what he hears from the media, spoon-fed like most Americans. He actually asks, why are you asking that? How do you know that? And he just dives in. And then he interviews remarkable people like Graham Hancock, who was a writer for The Economist, and he writes now about the real history of the planet. You know, stuff is fascinating, you know, way beyond Paul Harvey, which I used to listen to in the work truck when I was with my dad. But most importantly with Joe Rogan, Steve, I just see that they've really established, again, that there's spirituality. And it's such a broad context, you know. I mean, everybody's got their own flavor. But Joe is, and the guys he works with, like Aubrey Marcus at On It Nutrition, again, these are young, hip, cool guys who are plugged into a sport that, although violent, it's really starting to nurture a sense of self, a spirituality that I was not expecting. And so that's what I really mean about Joe Rogan is he's asking the right questions, he's asking deep questions, and he's really championing, along with some other really well-known people, a sense of self, a sense of personal responsibility to ourselves, rather than this entitlement BS attitude that so many people have today. So that's what I mean by Joe Rogan.
Well, you're opening my eyes already, because when I think of this kickboxing, MMA, whatever it is, I certainly I'm not thinking of spirituality. I'm thinking of two guys beating the crap out of each other, but very cool. So how does that help you or model for you to become the entrepreneur that you are?
Well, you know, my entrepreneurial journey began when I was about 5 years old in the sands pile, so to speak. My father, I come from a construction family. My dad is a mason by trade. And so I was playing with my Yoda dolls in the 70s in the sand pile, and he had me shoveling that sand into the mortar mixer when I was about 7 or 8. So the point of that is I never wanted to be in construction. My dad loves it, and I didn't understand why. Some people love it, some don't. Now I do. I'm an artist. I love to write. I love to communicate. And I happen to love business. And I've found that business is really that palette that I get to especially today with video and audio and business partners and putting things together, is very creative. But I started, as a long-haired hippie kid in a gym cleaning down workout equipment, and the gym management came in and asked me, said, "Hey, you look like a pretty smart guy. I'd like to bend your ear on some business." I was a hippie, for God's sake. So nobody's ever asked me to sit down and talk business. So he was either hitting on me or there was something real. So I was just curious. Okay, let's go check it out. And so I sat down, and he drew a bunch of circles on a napkin, and I was completely blown away as a 19-year-old guy, and he told me about soap and all this stuff, and I thought, my God, this is it. I'm going to be rich tomorrow. And we're walking out of the Village Inn restaurant, and I said, "Hey, man, does anybody else know about this?" He looks at me and says, "Not many." I should have known. Long story short,
you got in on the ground floor.
I got in on the ground floor of the deal.
I love when people say that.
Oh, my God. And so I just wanted to write a movie, Steve. And so I bought in, and I went through the churn of MLMs, and I'm really clear that the majority of those is the owners trying to fund their project on the backs of moms and grandmas and their dreams. So I know too much now. I know a lot of the owners of the industry. Some are great, some are absolute pieces of crap. And so I really try to educate people on that. And then I went into internet marketing. That's one guy is actually 10 people, a copywriter, a traffic generator. And so it's just not what people said. And so in that process, in 17 years, I had a wife that used to look at me with that glimmer in her eye, and she's like, "Go get him, Tiger. I believe in you." But, by our third year of marriage with our first baby, that glimmer was gone. And I know, and here's the thing I know, is just I'm so sick to tears of these young guys with boiler room posters on their wall, Wolf of Wall Street on their wall, when they're out there selling stuff to guys who are now my age, who have families, who work their faces off, who just want out. They just want to believe. And when those little bastards don't tell them the truth and take their money, it doesn't just affect that guy on the other end of the phone. It affects his wife. It affects his kids. And those little kids have to sit there and watch fights. And it's not because of stacks of hundreds on the table. So there's no money. And so I just see that now that we've got this personal sense of responsibility that's starting to permeate in business. Joe Rogan exemplifies it. Aubrey Marcus certainly exemplifies it. And then Michael Bledsoe, for God's sake, of Barbell Shrugged. This is a young, hip guy who's got one of the top podcasts going right now. And he's an Olympic weightlifter, and he helps people in CrossFit. But this is a guy who's traveled to South America, done some deep spiritual internal work, and they're reading books again. They're reading books, and I just find it very refreshing that my children actually get to associate with those folks, and that's one of the things that I'm most focused on right now. You'll get the money out of the way, that's great. I want my children to associate with responsible, good men and women, and I know when they do that, then my job is done. So that's what I mean. Long answer, but that's what I mean by that.
Fantastic. So very common among entrepreneurs that you started at a very early age, whether it's people with lemonade stands or like me driving around on my bike picking up bottles from garbage cans and returning them for a penny a piece, or whatever it was. We all have some kind of early start like that. What I'd like to find out is what point you knew what you wanted to be and what you were going to do, quote, when you grow up. Now, I know we're almost at the end of today's segment, but if you could just tease us with the start of the story, and then we'll look to cover the rest of it tomorrow. How's that?
That sounds great, Steve. Well, I tell you, I think that entrepreneurs are born. I think that some people who are not born entrepreneurs can actually enter the game and do pretty well. But I absolutely believe that some of us are born. And I was a young kid, about 7 years old, when Mount St. Helens exploded. And, man, we went over and visited some family near Portland, and there were bucket loads of that. So I brought back buckets of that Mount St. Helens ash. It wasn't really, they were trying to ship it out over there, but back here in Boise, Idaho, man, that stuff was pretty cool. So at 7 years old, I put them in ash and pill bottles and jars, and I took it to school, and I sold Mount St. Helens ash, and I just thought I was the coolest guy ever, man. So on top of that, I always had that idea of like, man, if I could tell a story, if I could tell a good enough joke to everybody here on the playground, and they just gave me a quarter, man, that'd be pretty cool. And so that's how I thought at a very, very young age.
That is extremely young and extremely early in the story, so let's pick it up and continue it tomorrow. Can we do that?
That sounds fantastic. Appreciate you, Steve.
That's the end of part 1. Join us next time for part 2.
Thank you for joining us today on the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs hosted by Steve Sipress. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Also, go to rhinodaily.com for more great business exploding tips, strategies, and tactics from the world's top experts. Plus, snag your free copy of Money Making Monthly magazine.
Goodbye.
Welcome to the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs. You'll hear insights and ideas from the world's top entrepreneurs and thought leaders, designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Now, here's your host, Steve Sipress.
Troy Olds is a successful serial entrepreneur who helps others to live their passion and optimize everything. He helps identify and maximize the superpowers that every entrepreneur has by using the latest mind and body science and nutrition to create a unique design for maximum living. Watch Troy's next live broadcast at rhinodaily.com/Troy. That's rhinodaily.com/TROY.
Here is part 2.
Back for day 2 with Troy Olds. He teased us yesterday, so if you have not listened to yesterday's segment, I urge you to go back and listen, at least at the very end, where he started out with his entrepreneurial journey, similar probably to a lot of us and you that are listening to the Rhino Daily Podcast, about how he was 5 years old and then 7-year-old and doing entrepreneurial things, and that's kind of where we left off, but I have a feeling that the story takes a few more twists and turns from there, does it not?
Oh, Steve, how vulnerable and transparent do you want me to be? Because that's one of the things I do.
Well, I am known as Straight Talk Steve and a no BS guy, so my audience appreciates the straight talk. Tell it like it is.
Well, you got it, brother. Well, here's the thing that I'm very clear about now is, Wayne Dyer said something, and I think he got it from somebody, but I picked up on it that I absolutely know now is truth, which is what's true in the morning by evening has become a lie. And what I mean by that is the things that I wanted and thought were so amazing in my 20s are meaningless to me today. Meaningless. Aside from that, that small voice, the call that Joseph Campbell calls it, within us, it's like you've got this something inside you that just has to come out. And that's not just a rote job. Going to, build somebody else's dream under fluorescent lights in traffic. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, the people on your show or who are listening in who they took a chance. They stepped out and they started doing something that was against the status quo, which instantly becomes uncomfortable. And in my case, I married a wonderful woman, very young. We both had our character defects and a lot of brokenness got us together. Nonetheless, we've got 3 amazing kids. But she absolutely believes that safety and security is a good job, She works for the government, she has benefits, and she's got retirement. And
now
as you go further,
this sounds like the old saying, opposites attract.
It's definitely an opposites attract. And there's even a reason for that, because, and I'll tell you the story of how I've learned all this. She is a former First Lady, by the way. Just her idea of safety did never resonate with me. I wanted to jump on my Harley that my dad bribed me to graduate high school with across the country and Jack Kerouac it and write my little novel without any life experience at all. She wanted to make damn sure I was at work, taking my trowel out the door and bringing home $500 a week. Mind you, this was in the 90s, and that was perfectly fine for her. Some four-wheelers, and she's good. Now, I'm good with that, too. But I also just had this burning to do something that I knew was for me. And so 17 years of the network marketing companies, me not having a mentor right out of the gates to teach me how to be an entrepreneur, which meant I went to the school of hard knocks, and so did she. God love her. That woman went through a lot of stuff. We had a foreclosure notice on our desk in late 99. But I'd been working on an e-commerce play, and it hit. She was packed up with my daughter in a suitcase, going to leave me, and I said, I tell you what, looks like it's going to be good. And it was. The next 6 months, we earned $500,000 on our 1099, or that's what we earned. But I found there, Steve, that everything I've been told about it's about the money. You get the rich, get rich, get your car, get your house, you're going to be fine. That's bullshit.
That was a big jump right there from $500 a week to $500,000.
It was a ton. It was ridiculous, and it was devastating because now I had all these nice clothes, a paid-for Lexus, a paid-for house, and I had people coming out of the woodwork wanting to borrow money. I saw how money changed people because the media machine is constructed to make people think that it's something it's not. It's just an exchange of energy. But man, I tell you what, people sure thought it was more than that. So, earning it, keeping it, two separate things. Within 6 months, I owed the IRS $551,000. I had a very, very pissed off wife, and I started drinking too much, and I just unraveled. And so that's what happened to me, Steve. And then by 2003, I had sold off the car, we refinanced the house, and I was walking out of a program that showed me how to live life. And I'm what they call a chaos kid. Fundamentalist Christian kid till the age of 7. My ass was in church twice on Sunday, and every Wednesday I ate a lot of potlucks and got my butt spanked for wiggling on the hard pew. And that comes with a lot of baggage, brother. I mean, that means if you do good things, you're going up. If you do bad things, you're going down. If you're going down, you're going to burn and gnash and bah. Well, when my mother, had stepped out with the neighbor, all hell hit the fan. And here's the thing that I know. Men are walking around daily that we pass at the grocery store, at the gas station, who are told to buck up, be tough, guys don't cry. And that's bullshit. It's killing people. And I was that guy. And so when I came out of that program and instantly into a ton of therapy and counseling, I began to realize that, my God, we take batting lessons, we take golfing lessons. For God's sake, we get a coach, thank God, to learn how to drive. But you take kids like me who instantly went from church and crust cut off their bread at 7 to by 8 years old, you're wondering where mom is, where's dad, why is dad, he doesn't have a Bible anymore, he has a fist, and he's pissed, and he's hunting mom. That means that you don't get the disciplines and the rituals and the safety that most people, I don't know if it's even most people, but a lot of people get, so that when they're an adult, they can just go on and be adults. Well, that didn't happen for me, and it doesn't happen for a lot of people. I was trying to figure all this stuff out, and by the time I became an adult and a husband and a father, and I had to keep the lights on, it was overwhelming to me. So that breakdown I had in 2003 put me on a path that actually showed me that, yes, there's a way to communicate with the people in your life. Yes, there is personal responsibility, and all my freedoms are on the other side of discipline, which I ran from. And that's what became a passion for me, Steve, is I was like blown away. And there's not a lot out there except a media that is driven by agenda that tells us everything is outside of us. Hey, Steve, you're close, but not quite. But if you drink this, you're going to have all the women, you're going to be popular, and that's bullshit.
Well, but of course, you call it that, but we call it marketing.
Oh, brother, tell me I haven't struggled with that one, because I got the gift of gab. I've got all the books. I got the Wolf of Wall Street sales training. And I tell you what, people are starting to get it now. I found that it's like, look, I believe that people have been absolutely hijacked from their passion. I believe that we all have that still small voice, that call to do something great when we get here. And the system says, no, Steve, you need to go to school, get good grades, and get a good job. And then after 40 years, then you can go do that. How's that working for everybody? It's not. And so when I had the type of breakdown to the point of I wanted off the bus completely, I had the opportunity to look at things differently and realize that we can do things differently. That being an entrepreneur is one of the most courageous things you can do. And I'm not talking MLM. I'm talking about if you want to open a store.
Now, just to break in for a second, because when you keep saying MLM, that stands for multi-level marketing, right?
Yeah, and again, I've got friends who are
multi-level marketing, which I've been in like every single one of them because, I have so many friends that do stuff, and I'll just say yes, and then I'll get the vitamins or the this or the that. And back in the day, I actually was building an Amway business and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're talking about, which business owners sometimes will do on the side. But in my experience, how about yours? Usually when a business owner, an attorney, a doctor, somebody will get involved in a multi-level marketing thing, do you find that it's usually because there's some dissatisfaction? There's something going wrong with their main business that makes them think this is no good. I'm either working too many hours, or it's too hard, or uncertainty, or I'm not making the money, or whatever it is, and they're looking for something better. And so they buy into the dream of building a multi-level marketing business.
I do. I absolutely believe that that's the case, Steve. And again, not every MLM or multi-level marketing company is bad. In fact,
well, I agree 100%. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the whole thing. I'm just saying that, it is for most people a side thing until you build it really big and strong enough, it becomes a main thing, at which point it's what I call, a real business. Then you're going to have customers and you're going to be teaching and running a business and taking orders or looking over numbers and paperwork. And even if they're independent people, you're still making kind of team building, even if it's not technically hiring or firing, you're making team building and training decisions But just starting out, when multi-level marketers will tell 9-to-5 workers, like you talk to, a lot of people that just don't have the mindset. They have given in to the nonsense, like you say, of like how it's really good to work for somebody else and make them rich and make a tiny bit of money, and you should be happy with that and go home and drink beer on Friday night and somehow make it through the weekend and get back to making somebody else wealthy again.
Yes.
That from day one, when they start their multi-level business, you're in your own business. Well, I guess you are, but most of them don't treat it like a real business, do they?
No, and you just really nailed it, Steve. And that's the challenge is there's so much in what you just said. Is I was blessed, and by the way, my mother and my father, I talk to them both daily. We're all kissed and made up, and they're my best friends, and they were my teachers. They were courageous enough in that metaphysical way to show up as exactly what I needed to grow me. And one of the blessings I had was I was raised on 5 acres, not a big plot, but we had cows and chickens and horses, and it was hard. And I got to see my dad go to work first, stay out late and longest, and just work. And I see now that, like, as an example, if the power goes down in a third world country, they talk about it. It's like, hey, the power went down. Really? When? About 3 weeks ago. No kidding. If the power grid goes down in the United States and a kid can't heat his freaking Hot Pocket and play Xbox, it's all mayhem, brother. That's the challenge. And I'm not saying that's all of them. There's some smart people, but that's not happening from the media. And so what's happening is people have this idea that I'm going to be a business owner. Oh, my God. Thank God nobody told me right out of the gates what was going to have to happen for me to become the guy and how many hundreds of books I'd have to read and breakdowns and breakthroughs and to become a business owner. And that's the thing with multi-level marketing, I think, is the big mistake. Most people end up with some really good cheap suits from JCPenney, a kick-ass library, and they're broke. And I just wish that they would say right up front, hey, look, if you're an employee, this is probably going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. And it'll be worth it. But understand what it takes. And they don't do that. Most of them don't do that. And so that
would be a heck of a lot more honest of a pitch than the typical multi-level marketing of, hey, you work 10 hours a week, and in a few years you'll be making tons of money.
Absolutely, and therefore there would be a lot less MLM companies. And so I'm not against it. I'm not against anything. I am for people being transparent. And now I understand language enough to where if I can identify with an individual what it is that they want, and I'm not talking about the money, what kind of a lifestyle do you want, what are you going to do to get it, then I can really lay out, okay, this is what you can expect. And people are going to do what they're going to do, but it's my job now in life that if it's in the highest and best good of that individual that I'm speaking with to move in a direction, then I want to be skilled enough to make that happen. But I also want to be courageous, and it's not about the money and so much now as that individual's life, because now I am that guy and I didn't get taken. I chose. I didn't do my due diligence. I was a victim. It was my sponsor's fault, all that crap. I wasn't responsible, and I just didn't know. But the thing is, if I had been told what it required, I probably would have done something else, right? Because
Well, of course, which is why they're not straight with you up front. Okay, so we've hit the end of today's segment, but I really want to get into a little bit more about this in tomorrow's segment. I also want to talk a little bit about this fact that you're an artist and a businessman. It sounds like those are two totally different things, but I know that you are going to be able to tie them together for the listeners of the Rhino Daily Podcast, so can we do that tomorrow?
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate it, Steve.
That's the end of part 2. Join us next time for part 3.
Thank you for joining us today on the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs hosted by Steve Sipress. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Also, go to rhinodaily.com for more great business exploding tips, strategies, and tactics from the world's top experts. Plus, snag your free copy of Money Making Monthly magazine.
Goodbye.
Welcome to the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs. You'll hear insights and ideas from the world's top entrepreneurs and thought leaders, designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Now here's your host, Steve Sipress.
Troy Olds is a successful serial entrepreneur who helps others to live their passion and optimize everything. He helps identify and maximize the superpowers that every entrepreneur has by using the latest mind and body science and nutrition to create a unique design for maximum living. Watch Troy's next live broadcast at rhinodaily.com/Troy. That's rhinodaily.com/TROY.
Here is part 3.
Back again for day 3 with Troy Olds, who has had the typical entrepreneurial long and winding roller coaster road of life and has a ton of wisdom to share with the rest of us that are going through all this stuff. One we talked a lot about yesterday about the little journey into the multi-level marketing world. I want to hit on this point you make where you said you're an artist, but you love business. I mean, that just sounds like, I know, now I interviewed an artist, Ori Bengal, a few weeks ago here for the Rhino Daily podcast, who is an owner and a marketer, but it's rare because a lot of times, you mentioned being younger and being a hippie kid, artists seem to be the old struggling broke artist. They're like anti-business or money-making, and then business people seem to be, you mentioned, Boiler Room and Wolf of Wall Street. They seem to be all about just money, 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 and who cares about culture and art and whatever. So how have you been able to bring the two together?
Well, thanks for asking the question, Steve, because I truly believe that we're all artists, all of us, especially entrepreneurs. Mine specifically it started when I was really young. I looked at adults and I thought, you guys are all crazy. Why are you doing that? And because I was fine, I'm by design an introvert, but I love to communicate and I love people, but I've got to have a fine blend of both. And I remember being out on that 5 acres in the alfalfa, looking at ladybugs and moving clouds with my mind and all that fun stuff. I was content. It was only when I got into kindergarten I was wearing the wrong colored tough skins and I had too many freckles and my hair was too red. And I started really understanding, that it was going to be a challenge. And it was, and it always has been, and it's supposed to be. But what I mean by that is, I knew I loved words. I loved books. I loved music. I know that when we look at fine art, that the artist is in a creative communal state with God, with energy, with universe, whatever you want to call it. I hope nobody gets stuck on that. But I know that it's created in that space. And when chaos was happening around me as a young man who couldn't drive, I would listen to music. And it was just that place of, I knew what they were saying. I could feel the words. I felt the energy and the intention behind the music. And so by the time I graduated, I wanted to write a movie. I've got a good friend who hit it big in the film industry. We went to school together. But I wanted it for the wrong reason, Steve. I wanted to be the guy. I wanted to be the guy, the director, because directors they're cool, man. And by the way, they do get all the chicks. And then the actors, because they're the ones who are really famous. They're really cool. And they really get all the chicks. So I wanted it for a lot of reasons, the wrong reasons. And I actually pre-produced the film.
Wait a minute, that's the wrong reason?
No, it depends on what school of thought you come from, Steve. It could be the very right reasons, but for me, I know it was for the wrong reasons for me because I thought it was going to complete me and make me okay. Because I was because of my experience, had a low self-concept, low self-esteem, and I wanted to be cool, man. I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to be part of the cool kid club. Whereas every day in high school, it felt like all of everybody got together, and you were in a big circle, and you huddle up. Okay, this is what it's going to look like today, guys. Susie, you're going to go out with the football player, and we're going to hook up at lunch and sit at that table. And I show up 5 minutes late every damn day, and you guys have disbanded. Like, everybody else had the plan, but I didn't, and that's how I felt. And so I thought films were going to do that, make me cool. Here's what happened for me, Steve, is I was sitting in an Amway meeting after I cut my hair and had my cheap suits, and I was so inspired to get some success. And I saw a guy go across stage as an emerald, and he told this horrifying story of drug addiction and homelessness. And I'm like, it just moved me. I was like, oh, my God, if I just had a story like that.
Going across stage as an emerald means somebody's getting recognized for, they're doing well and making some money.
Yeah, they're making some money, man, and they're now the rock stars, right? They're the rock stars. I wanted to be on stage. And when I heard his painful story of homelessness and drug addiction and all this stuff, I was like, God, I just need a story. And here's what I say to everybody. Be careful what you ask for. Because then I got to get my own story. I've got a former first lady, a woman I was married to for 17 years, God love her, 3 amazing kids, and it's been hard. And that's life. And so now I'm good friends with Russell Brunson. He's an internet marketing guy. If you're not in the internet marketing or marketing world, that means nothing. in this world, it's kind of a big deal. You know, I work out with them a couple times a week. But what I did is I got to see that, wow, YouTube and videos and media, that's art. I can be on this podcast and share my story. That's art, right? That's media. I get to go out and share my new experience, what I know. Hey, guys, it's not what they said. Turn back, you know? And so the art of putting the right business partners together, the art of creating a marketing strategy that's going to move people to a specific outcome, whether it's through writing, through audio, through video, combination of all of those things, that really turns me on and really fires up my creative side. And now it's not to be famous. I mean, I've seen too much. I know that the guy in front of the congregation with his nice suit, I know he's got issues. And I work with those guys. You know, I know the guys who think they have it all put together. They don't. I know too much. And so I really like to take it out there and take my mask off because I was raised in a very kind of a rednecky type environment. And so you don't cry. You don't ask for help. That almost killed me, Steve. You know, and I just like to be that guy to say, hey, you know what? I went in a recovery program, and, you know, I broke down, and, God, I was scared shitless. And I tell you what, Steve, that right there, when you tell another man, I was scared. I was scared shitless. I didn't know what to do. Something inside them goes, no shit, you're scared too? Yeah. But here's what I did. I asked for help. And people are out there to help you. And so when I have an opportunity, one of my businesses is I help people with their nutrition, with their fitness, with supplementation, hormone balancing, because when my construction company tanked in '08, man, I'd missed too much time with my kids. My son looking over his shoulder when he's at the plate going to swing a bat, seeing if dad's looking at him. And I'm on the freaking phone, Steve. You know, I missed too much. And so for me, it's like when that economy tanked and I had an opportunity to spend some time with my kids, and by that time I'd been through tons of therapy, tons of counseling, read tons of books, and put it to work. I wanted to have experiences where I actually looked my kids in the eyes while they talked to me and making nutritious meals because I had to recreate myself. I needed energy. So I started studying more nutrition, optimal nutrition for the mind, and we started making dinner together as a family. We'd pop on a Adam Sandler movie, we'd laugh, we're together, and I just carried it forward. And really all the things that repaired my brain, my mind, and my relationships, those are the things I coach people. Now I do other things as well because I'm pretty diversified, but that only happened because of my painful experiences. I have not a theory, brother. I got a no bullshit, I was there, I got the scars to show a story that can move people. And helping people to become personally responsible for their lives, to remind them that they came in with everything that they need and that they are capable. They just need to walk in courage. What's courage? You're scared shitless, but you go anyway, baby. And that's why entrepreneurs hang with entrepreneurs, because we know what it takes. And I just love being able to have these types of conversations and share, Steve, because I know for a fact you got listeners out there who are just like, oh, my God. And I kept the F-bombs down, guys, intentionally, but they wanted to come out. But I know the guys and gals out there who are listening to this have experienced what I'm talking about. And I just want them to know that, you know, they're on the right path. Get some Joseph Campbell. Get the book The Hero's Journey, or the Hero with 1,000 Faces. It's what was the model for the movie Rocky and Star Wars. Because we all have a hero's journey in us. When Rocky puts his head in Adrian's lap and says, Adrian, I'm scared, Adrian. That's why we love Rocky. Not because he's some macho prick. And God knows we're sick of the frickin' new age wussies. We need men. We need men who step up and say, yeah, man, it's tough, it's hard. Got some good days, got some bad days. I'm just going forward, baby. That's bad. That's cool, man. That's a man.
Oh, and now, of course, we have many listeners to the Rhino Daily podcast that are women. And so when you say we need men, we need, you know, what you would call real women, too.
Well, let me really clarify and hand it off to, and really high-five the women.
Well, let me do this. We've hit the end of today's segment, but let's pick this up when we start off tomorrow. Can we do that?
Uh-huh. Yeah, you got it, bud. It's going to be good.
That's the end of part 3. Join us next time for part 4.
Thank you for joining us today on the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs hosted by Steve Sipress. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Also, go to rhinodaily.com for more great business exploding tips, strategies, and tactics from the world's top experts. Plus, snag your free copy of Money Making Monthly magazine.
Goodbye.
Welcome to the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs. You'll hear insights and ideas from the world's top entrepreneurs and thought leaders, designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Now here's your host, Steve Sipress.
Troy Olds is a successful serial entrepreneur who helps others to live their passion and optimize everything. He helps identify and maximize the superpowers that every entrepreneur has by using the latest mind and body science and nutrition to create a unique design for maximum living. Watch Troy's next live broadcast at rhinodaily.com/Troy. That's rhinodaily.com/TROY.
Here is the final part of the interview.
Back for the final day with Troy Olds, and we started yesterday to talk about this issue. We said we need more real men, and I chimed in and said, I've got clients and members, and I know listeners to the Rhino Daily Podcast. A lot of my best success stories are women, which more and more every day now, there's more and more entrepreneurs and business leaders, which is fantastic. So how does it translate what you said about needing more real men? How does that translate to right now there's women listening to the Rhino Daily Podcast? Are they just saying you're a sexist pig, or how does it translate to them?
I'm glad you asked, brother. So here's the thing, Steve. I was raised by my mom and my sister, Joella, who's about 4 years older than me, and here's what I mean. I think we need to have, and now the guys will be like, oh, you're kissing the women's butt. Now here's what I truly believe. Look at the planet, and look what testosterone has done to this place. We've got so many male, macho, scared-ass, grown-ass men who are actually little broken boys running the show. We need to get some femininity in this place. We need to be very clear, and every guy who's married or has a significant other knows this. They let us think that we run the show. But we know the truth. Women have that fine blend of testosterone, because women have it too, or else we wouldn't have babies. But they also have that kind femininity that the world desperately needs. And so here's what I saw. In the late 90s, when you had not Tupac so much, but you had Eazy-E and all this crap music that I kind of bought into, but it was degrading. And women didn't have support with that. Young girls didn't have support. And we are now reaping the repercussions of that lack of responsibility. Mind you, pumped out by a media driven with motive. If you can keep people outside themselves broken, then you can put pharmaceuticals in them. You can keep them eating, crappy food that looks pretty but is poison. You own them. And so I just got to step back, and I really started doing my research and really looking at this, and I realized that it's a broken system, and so we need men to step up and honor women, and we need women to actually start reading some Marianne Williamson. Get the book, A Return to Love. Everybody, man and woman. It broke my heart and inspired me completely. She's the one, not Nelson Mandela, who wrote, "It's our light, not our dark, that most frightens us." Who am I to believe that I'm not fabulous, gorgeous? Who are you not to? And that's what I believe. So I absolutely believe that men need to buck up, be men, honor women, and I do that poorly every day, guys. Every day I go to bed, and I was like, God, I was just an asshole today. And I also know that me being an asshole to my girl, my first lady, or my daughters, or any woman, is simply because I'm scared shitless sometimes. That someone's going to take her away from me. Some other guy's going to be smarter, better looking, going to take her. That's bullshit, man. It is if you buy into the fear, because pretty soon you're so pathetic they will leave. It doesn't have to be that way. And women, they get to choose what they want to do today. This is not Molly Homemaker anymore, man. If they want to, absolutely go all in, that's successful. But if they want to run a business and have children and have that experience, what I've learned is expectations will kill us, but agreements will bind us. And then we just have to make those agreements. Hey, this is what my life looks like. These are my values. What is the value? Where do you spend your time? It's not what comes out of your mouth or my mouth. It's where I invest my time. And when I had somebody sit me down and say, dude, you're full of shit. You don't value your kids. You never see them, right? So I got clear that I want to have an experience where I have mind, body, spirit, juicy relationships, and I want it to look this way. And when I found my partner now, I asked her, I said, does this look okay? Can you agree to these things? Now, we had to have some, common ground and coming to the middle for us to become compatible to that and practice, taking about 2 years. But I don't have expectations like I once did. That's what I mean. I think the guys need to stop watching so damn much football, and they need to get into the 5 love languages. They need to read The Road Less Traveled. And it's not the poetry book. It's, it's M. Scott Peck about relationships. We need to invest in those people that we leave our homes for every day to go get rich and then come back to broken, tired, pissed off. Get out of my face. I'm tired, kid. You know, and I did that stuff, and it just pisses me off. But it doesn't piss me off to actually wallow in resentment and shame. I choose to do it different. When I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. When I'm working, I'm working. Count on me, baby. My responsibility, Steve, used to make me just flip out because I couldn't handle it. So I'd go drink, and I'd go do drugs, and I just created chaos. Just hurting me. Bullshit. Now, because I've been blessed with a lot of painful experiences, my responsibilities, they keep me in the game. You want it done? Count on me. Call me. I'll be there. And I get to work around guys like Daryl Hill, who you know, Steve, Jason O'Neill, Joe Degano, who works directly with Werner Erhard, who's created Landmark. And I let them work me, man. And I have a good friend, mentor, who says it like it is. He just said, Troy, maybe you need to consider that you don't know what the fuck really is going on. Nobody talks to me that way. Listen, your life ain't working. What you're doing ain't working. Maybe you need to consider you don't know what's going on. And I tell you what, if you do not have friends in your life who love you enough to have those type of conversations with you, you need to find them. Because here's what I found. A lot of people, they love us, they stop talking to us and telling us those things because we wouldn't listen. Or we made life so hard on them because we gave them so much pushback because we weren't ready to change. That's what's made all the difference in the world for me, is when Daryl Hill calls me and he knows that I'm slipping. I'm allowing stories. Well, my ex-wife is keeping me off of my responsibilities to a company. When he calls me and says, get your ass on a plane and be out here Tuesday. If you're not here Tuesday, don't freaking call me again. He said that out of love, right? So that's who I'm choosing to be today. My choice. I show up. I'm my word. I do what I say. And I do it imperfectly because I'm human. But at least I know I'll make right. So that's what I mean. It's men and women. We need to step up, wake up, watch the movie Maxed Out about credit cards, watch Manufacturing Consent by Noam Chomsky, who is a linguistics professor at MIT, for God's sake, who describes every bit of media we consume, whether it's television or radio or newspapers or magazines, is owned by 6 companies with motive, right? So, you know, there it is, Steve. I could draw the air out of your room.
Well, you know, as we record this, we're in the midst of which seems to never end, but it's an election year coming up, and so we're seeing a little bit of a backlash against the media and the establishment politicians and the people, the big donors and the big influencers who all want to jam their agendas into our lifestyle. I don't say want, they have been for decades, and for the first time almost in my lifetime, I'm seeing the viability of these anti-establishment people that in the past, you know, have gotten 5% of the vote and they come and go, but here, you got Bernie Sanders, you got Donald Trump still fighting months into the campaign, and there's anger out there, and there's people rallying around exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and Steve, I don't touch this much anymore because it tends to get you shut out of family dinners, and it puts a target on you. But here's the reality. If people really, I just implore you, don't take my word for it. Do the research for yourself. It's not theory. There's an agenda. The way I look at politics and all that stuff that's going on is like, give me some popcorn and some hot tamales, man, because this is entertaining, and it's all scripted, and it's all going to go in the direction that they want it to go no matter what. And it's designed for my uncles fight against one another because one's a liberal and one's a Republican. Has it ever mattered? Really look back. The same agenda is happening. Corporations run the show. And until they stop having the ability to fund political campaigns, it's not going to change. Those very same people who own the corporations own all the media.
Well, of course. So let's finish with this, because I see the clock is ticking away, and I got to honor your time. We're almost done here. These 4 days have just flown by. But because it sounds like you're, speaking the same language as me, I'm always saying, look, we cannot control the economy, whatever the heck that is. But what we can control is our own personal economy. Right. So stop paying attention to who cares what's up or down, or who wins, or who loses, or who's the president. Who cares? Get to work on your personal economy. Get to work on your business. Get to work on your mind, and that's what you've helped us with over the last few days. So with only a minute left, is there any last words of inspiration and advice or anything you want to say to the listeners of the Rhino Daily Podcast?
Yeah, Steve, first of all, thanks so much for giving me the time to share this stuff. It means the world to me, and I hope it's connected with some folks out there. I really believe that stay curious. That voice inside us, that urge to do something is real. and listen to it. Surround yourself with mentors who really deeply care about you. Learn about yourself. We need to learn about ourselves. To thine own self be true and know thyself. And really look at the status quo and what everybody else is doing and go the opposite direction and be prepared to get bumped and bruised and knocked down. And when that starts to happen and it gets hard, you're on the right path. Just keep going. Keep going and follow your bliss. That's what the world needs more of. More courageous people who act on that still small voice inside them. And just know that this ain't it, man. Fear or love. We operate in fear or love, like Bill Hicks says. Go YouTube, Fear or Love, Bill Hicks. God rest him, or God love him. He's gone now, but he really summed it up. Fear causes us to lock our doors, as he says. Grip. It gives us that nasty, jealous and feeling in our chest, right? We're going to lose. We're going to not be enough. Whereas love liberates. Love is that everything's okay. We're in flow. And if you want to boil it down to just that simple equation and go to work on that, it's going to change the game completely. Fear, love, baby. So,
well,
I really love
this has been a great 4 days here. I know I got to honor your time and let you go, but these are 4 days where usually what I'm doing is furiously taking notes on these tactics and the 1, 2, 3 steps you have to do to something. This is one that's just, I need it to absorb into me. This is one I'll listen to over and over. All of us as entrepreneurs have ups and downs and twists and turns. That's the life we choose. And like you said, we have to hang out with other people that honor our strength, give us more strength. And this podcast, these 4 days have really done that for me. So the bad news for me is this is the end of me and you on the podcast. But the good news is that I hope everyone already has, over the past few days, gone to connect with you and get in touch with your videos, your teachings, everything that you have to offer people so we can continue to stay locked in, which we have to do because it really is the entrepreneur against the rest of the world. No matter what happens, us entrepreneurs, we're never going to be mainstream. We're always going to be strange. We're always going to be told, oh, you can't do that and all this kind of stuff. And I just love what you've done for us and for myself, for the listeners of the Rhino Daily Podcast. You've been fantastic, Troy. Thank you for a fantastic 4 days.
Steve, thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today on the Rhino Daily Podcast, the daily podcast for sharp entrepreneurs hosted by Steve Sipress. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode designed to help you increase your profits and improve your lifestyle. Also, go to rhinodaily.com for more great business exploding tips, strategies, and tactics from the world's top experts. Plus, snag your free copy of Money Making Monthly magazine.
Goodbye.